Manchester City have a new hero in goal, and his name is Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Rashford goes for it! What a save from Donnarumma!
And a great save by Donnarumma for the corner.
Oh, that's a great shot! What a save! Gianluigi Donnarumma!
From the moment Donnarumma arrived in Manchester, he elevated the team's back line. For years, City relied on Ederson. He was amazing with his feet, the best goalkeeper out there when it came to passing out from the back. But when it came to pure shot stopping, there were always some doubts. In those moments where a goal felt inevitable, Ederson wasn't always the guy to pull off a miracle save. Now enter Donnarumma. He's a 6'6" monster in goal, built for those exact moments. One-on-ones, point-blank shots, deflections, situations where fans already start sighing, Donnarumma somehow gets a hand to them. He has that rare ability to turn a "that's 100% a goal" moment into a save. Now don't just take my words for it, here's Pep glazing him.
Just going back to Donnarumma, what does he give you that you didn't have?
He's so tall. That gives us is so huge.
You can already see how much calmer the defense looks. City's backline knows that even if something goes wrong, there's a giant safety net behind them.
For being one-on-one with somebody else.
Yeah, it's definitely, and he's so big, and he's the best keeper in the world. He just got the trophy at the Ballon d'Or, so knowing that you're against the biggest keeper in the world is of course motivation, but it's also a more difficult task.
That confidence matters a lot. It lets the defenders be more aggressive, more comfortable, because they trust the man behind them. Now Premier League fans shouldn't really be surprised. A lot of them saw this coming back at the 2020 Euros. That night at Wembley, Donnarumma broke English hearts. He saved 2 penalties in the final shootout, including the decisive one, and carried Italy to the trophy. I mean, he wasn't just good, he was flat out the best player at the entire tournament. Then he became a big reason why PSG won the treble. He pulled off save after save on the biggest stage. So City decided to get him because they already scare teams with their attack, but now they're beginning to scare teams at the other end too. In a league like the Premier League, where matches are often decided by one moment, having a keeper who can steal points is massive. So how did a kid who debuted at 16, carried Italy at 22, and was pushed out after winning everything, end up in Manchester? Well, to understand that, we have to start at the beginning, to Milan, where a teenager was thrown into the spotlight. Donnarumma's story really starts in Italy, where people knew he was special almost right away. Born near Naples in 1999, he joined AC Milan's academy as a kid. It didn't take very long for coaches to realize they had something different on their hands. By the time he was 16, Donnarumma wasn't just playing youth football. He was a part of the senior first team. Then at the same age, he made his senior debut for Milan. That's almost unheard of for a goalkeeper. What's even crazier is that he started a Serie A match at that age and didn't look scared at all. Milan won the game and Donnarumma looked very calm, confident, and ready for the big occasion. From there, things moved very fast. He quickly became Milan's #1 goalkeeper, pushing aside older, more experienced players before he was even old enough to vote. Fans couldn't believe what they were watching. It's one thing to see a teenage attacker. It's another to see a teenage goalkeeper making huge saves against some of the best attackers in Italy. Week after week, Donnarumma kept delivering. The Italian media were calling him a miracle worker. Inside the club, people were already saying that he was the future of Milan and the future of Italian football. Over the following 6 seasons, Donnarumma became a key leader for Milan. He played over 200 games before turning 22, which again is insane for a goalkeeper. He built a reputation as a penalty-saving machine early on, and even helped Milan win silverware, securing a crucial penalty in the Italian Super Cup shootout. By the age of 19, he had already reached 100 Serie A appearances, which was a record for the club. To Milan fans, Donnarumma felt like the next Buffon. Every big save had the fans in San Siro getting hyped. It felt like they had a once-in-a-generation goalkeeper locked in for the next decade. But things weren't perfect. As Donnarumma got better and better, the noise around him got louder and louder. Contract talks dragged on. There were rumors flying everywhere, and the fans started to get restless. At one point, some of the supporters even turned on him, questioning his loyalty. Even though he had signed a renewal in 2017, it was clear that Milan might struggle to keep him forever. And eventually that moment came. After the 2020-2021 season, with Milan finally back in the Champions League, Donnarumma made the tough call to leave. His contract expired, and at just 22 years old, he walked away from the club he grew up in for free. It hurt, especially for the fans. It was sudden and painful. One day they are watching this kid grow up in goal, the next day he was just gone. But for Donnarumma, it was about the next step in his development. He left Milan as one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe, ready for a bigger stage. Paris and the Croissant Warriors were calling. There were trophies that he wanted to win, and the pressure was about to reach a whole new level. Donnarumma's move to play with the Eiffel Tower lovers in 2021 was a big step, and not an easy one. He walked into a squad full of superstars and immediately faced competition for the #1 spot. You see, PSG already had Keylor Navas, a Champions League winner and a fan favorite. So instead of choosing one keeper right away, PSG rotated between them like a nice rotisserie chicken. One week it was Donnarumma, the next week it was Navas. For a young goalkeeper who had always been the clear #1 at Milan, this wasn't easy, but Donnarumma stayed patient. He worked hard and waited for his opportunity. When he finally made his Champions League debut for PSG, he kept a clean sheet in a win over Manchester City. A funny bit of foreshadowing. PSG had signed him because they believed that he could easily become the next best goalkeeper in the world. That belief though didn't mean that everything was perfect. There were some very tough moments. One of the biggest came against Real Madrid in 2022, when a mistake while playing out from the back helped spark the famous comeback. Now to me this is still a foul and not really Donnarumma's fault, but the critics jumped on it, saying that he still had a lot of things to learn. Now to be fair, they weren't wrong. He did have a lot of bozo moments. Against Juventus in September of 2022, Donnarumma made his second error leading to an opponent's goal in 6 Champions League matches for Paris. That was a record for a PSG player since Opta began analyzing the data. Even in the year that PSG won everything, it was his blunder that caused PSG to lose 2-0 to Arsenal in the group stage. But Donnarumma didn't fold after these mistakes. He worked harder, continued to get better and better, and learn from them. Over time, he became PSG's clear #1. Navas moved on, and the goal was his. The trophies followed quickly. Ligue 1 titles came season after season. Now, of course, winning the Ligue 1 Uber Eats title with PSG is like losing your virginity to a prostitute. So the Baguette Warriors knew that they were only judged on one thing, the Champions League. Then in 2025, they finally did it. They won the trophy, and the season was special, because PSG won the treble. They won the league, the cup, and the Champions League. And Donnarumma was massive throughout that run. Game after game, he came up with big saves when PSG needed him the most. Against Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal, he was the difference. The Champions League semi-final against Arsenal was one of his best performances. The Gunners came out flying, creating chance after chance, and Donnarumma just kept saying no. Point blank saves, full stretch stops, shots that everyone thought were goal. Even the Arsenal players and Mikel Arteta admitted it afterward.
Kel, the journey ends here tonight. What are your initial thoughts after that?
Well, first of all, congratulate PSG for reaching the final. When you look at the 2 games, who's been their best player on the pitch, he's been their goalkeeper. He's made a difference for them in the tie. And I think we were very close, much closer than that.
The goalie decided that tie. Donnarumma was on top of the world, a Champions League winner, treble winner, the best goalkeeper in the world. He had done exactly what PSG brought him there to do, which is why what happened next shocked a lot of people. Despite winning everything, PSG started to hesitate. There were many factors. Luis Enrique wanted a very specific type of goalkeeper, someone who was ultra comfortable on the ball, almost like an extra outfield player. Donnarumma was never bad with his feet, but he wasn't, say, at the level of someone like Ederson. And suddenly, that began to matter to Luis Enrique and the Parisiens. Then there was the contract situation. Donnarumma wanted significantly higher wages, and PSG didn't feel like he was worth the money he was asking for. So early in the next season, he was dropped for some big matches, with Chevalier becoming the #1 in between the sticks. Luis Enrique and the club were sending a very clear message. Even after the treble, even after a historic season, they didn't have the trust that he would be their #1 anymore. So despite winning everything, Donnarumma found himself in a strange place. He was on top of the world, still in his mid-20s, but he was no longer seen as untouchable. When the opportunity arose to sign Donnarumma, City didn't hesitate for a second, because in the summer of 2025, everything had lined up perfectly. Ederson, who was City's longtime #1, was ready for a new chapter. He'd won everything there was to win, and he wasn't the same guy that he used to be. So with him leaving, there was a massive hole in goal, and City knew exactly what they needed. Pep Pep and the club moved fast and signed Gianluigi Donnarumma. Now the deal surprised a lot of people, not because they didn't think Donnarumma was good, but because of the price. For around £30 million, City had landed a Champions League winner, a Euros hero, and a goalkeeper who at the time was still only 26 years old. For a player of that level, it felt like a steal. Donnarumma loved the move. He spoke about how proud he was to join City and work under Pep Guardiola. He even took the number 99 shirt, a little throwback to his early days at Milan. City fans were buzzing, but there was still one big question. How would he fit in a Pep Guardiola system? Pep has always valued goalkeepers who are great with their feet. This is exactly the reason why he moved on from Joe Hart when he first joined the club, and why Ederson became so good for him. Now Donnarumma was different. Again, he's not bad with the ball, but he's nowhere near Ederson level, so it felt like a shift. City already knew how to dominate games with possession, but what they didn't always have was a goalkeeper who could win them points when things were going wrong, and that's where Donnarumma came in. His stats across his career just tell the whole story. He has saved far more goals than what he's cost. He's an excellent shot stopper, and you don't often sign a Champions League winning keeper in his mid-20s. You could also see how desperately City wanted him because Pep didn't ease him in. Donnarumma's Premier League debut came in the Manchester derby. No matter what you think of Manchester United, this game always has a lot of pressure. Because no matter how bad United are doing, those frauds can always somehow scam a result. He passed the test immediately. He was so calm, yet commanding in the box. He kept a clean sheet, and the fans were sold right away. As the weeks went on, the difference became even clearer. Donnarumma was just an elite shot stopper. Crosses didn't cause panic anymore. Set pieces felt less dangerous. Although recently there's been a couple of moments where City fans have had to hold their breath. Donnarumma's size, his presence, it gives the backline confidence. When a shot gets through, he usually stops it. Of course, he's still adapting to Pep's system. That was the biggest question around him when he joined. Could he really play Pep ball? Early on, he started answering that himself. In a Champions League match against Villarreal, Donnarumma was pressed hard inside his own box. Instead of panicking, he calmly slipped a left-footed pass past the striker and found John Stones. It was the kind of moment that people used to associate with Ederson, and it showed that Donnarumma isn't uncomfortable on the ball. But what is clear is that City have adjusted. With Ederson, City built almost everything short. With Donnarumma, they're a bit more flexible. This season, a higher percentage of City's goalkeeping passes have gone long. Now, this doesn't mean they're panicking, but they'd rather be safe. Pep is clearly very happy to trade a little bit of risk for a lot more security. And again, it makes sense. Ederson was never bad at shot stopping, but his biggest value was how he helped City dominate the ball. Donnarumma brings something different. He brings saves, shot stopping. Over his career, he's consistently stopped so many goals, and he's the exact type of keeper that will bail you out over and over again. That's why City have looked calmer in some tight games. Now don't get it wrong, the back line is not perfect by any means. Just go and rewatch that Fulham game. But City are happy to sit a bit deeper when needed, knowing there's an absolute giant behind them. Donnarumma had 5 clean sheets in his first 8 games, and City's record when he starts is very impressive. He's not reckless with the ball, he plays short when it's on, he just happens to go longer when it's safe, and he doesn't force things. He's not trying to be Ederson, and Pep doesn't even want him to be. That's the biggest shift. Donnarumma might not look like a classic Pep player, but neither did Erling Haaland. And as we have seen, that's worked out pretty well. Pep has adapted the system to the player, not the other way around. And when City really need him, I mean, he's delivered. You had the huge save on his derby debut. Look at the saves he was making versus Villarreal. He's helped City in tight wins, even if he hasn't kept a clean sheet. And his teammates consistently talk about the confidence he gives them just by standing there. City didn't just sign a goalkeeper, they signed peace of mind. As Pep tweaks the system around him, it's becoming very clear that this isn't Donnarumma trying to fit into City, it's City evolving around Donnarumma. Sure, they might have lost some control, but they gained a lot more security. And now, even on City's worst defensive days, the fans all believe in one thing: Donnarumma might still find a way to save them. And the scariest part about all of this is that this might only be the start of his prime. Goalkeepers usually peak later, and as we've seen with Italian goalkeepers, their longevity is like fine wine. So the fact that Donnarumma looks this good already in his mid-20s is incredible. Now, he's not the only City player killing it. To see how Nico O'Reilly became the best left back in the Premier League out of nowhere, you have to watch this video right here.